Hi all. These are generally conversations between adults after the children have left the table. The language can be spicy and the subjects can get saucy. So if you're ready, this is the Southern Fork. Unscripted kitchen chats and also studio chats with some of the most interesting voices in the culinary South. I'm Stephanie Burt, a food and beverage writer who travels with her fork to write for a variety of publications, from magazines you might have on your coffee table to the website you love to visit for your favorite recipes. And I'm inviting you to come behind the scenes with me to get to know the people who make this Southern culinary landscape so special. I'm always hungry for the next bite, thirsty for that next sip, and ready for the next conversation. Let's dig in. The Southern Fork is proud to say that once again, the presenting sponsor for Season 8 is Townsend Automotive in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. First off, thanks to so many of you listeners out there who not only decided to purchase a vehicle from this family-owned business in the last 2 years, but also shared with them that it was directly because of their support of this show. That's what community, even in our virtual format, is all about. Second, Townsend Automotive, celebrating 49 years serving West Alabama, has been extending its reach so that you don't even have to be in the Tuscaloosa area to purchase a car from them. Nationwide vehicle delivery service is available for Southern Fork listeners, and it's something that makes buying just the right new or certified pre-owned vehicle even easier. Visit townsendhonda.com for current inventory. Or, of course, if you're in West Alabama, stop in. Townsend Automotive always salutes local entrepreneurs, from restaurateurs to podcasters, and they welcome you to be part of a community that does the same. Today, I want to make sure and let you know about a podcast that's been inspiring me for years. If you don't already listen to Gravy, a production of the Southern Foodways Alliance, you really should check it out. It tells stories about the changing American South and is inspired, just like me, by the folks who grow, cook, and serve our food. It's always so well produced, and the next batch is produced by Katie Fernellis and Ishan Thakur, and it's about the foods of the global South, which will begin May 17th. My work often stands on the shoulders of the Southern Foodways Alliance, an organization that I've learned from throughout my career, and Gravy is a great introduction into the kinds of work the SFA does to collect and inspire this region I love. Please give it a listen wherever you get your podcasts. The Dutch Fork is a region of South Carolina including Lexington, Newberry, and Richland Counties between the Saluda River and the Broad River, where they come together in a third waterway, the Congaree. Named after the German settlers of the area who first started arriving in the mid-1700s, Dutch is derived from the German word deutsch. And one of the cultural remnants that remain in this region from its immigrant past is the affinity for onion sausage, a pork sausage flavored with spices and fresh onions that still graces Christmas tables and grills around here. There are still a few producers in the region, and one of the most beloved is Rhoten's Country Sausage, made in Rhoten's Country Store in Old Town Lexington. Proprietor Wesley Rhoten made it through the pandemic by selling the sausage out of a drive-thru window, and so I took a drive over so we could learn all sorts of South Carolina history hiding in this linked sausage. Welcome to the Southern Fork, Wes.
Hi.
Hi. I've never been in, what's it called? Old Town now, right? Old Town Lexington.
It's the old mill village, actually.
Yeah.
The old cotton mill's right across the street.
Yeah, and I love an old cotton mill. I think it just, it's that nostalgic moment. My grandmother worked in a mill when she was a teenager, so we were always around them.
Nearly everyone in my family worked in the mill, except my dad, and he used to bring the dope wagon around. The dope wagon was not what it sounds like. It was a little cart that had ice and Coca-Colas in it.
Oh,
and he would sell the Coca-Colas to the mill workers over there. When he was a little
snack
boy.
Shop kind of thing.
Snack shop, yeah.
So you're multi-generational Lexington.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people can say that in this area anymore. It seems like a big suburban area for the Midlands now.
It's been a kind of a bedroom community for like Columbia.
And there's a lot of medical here.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of lawyers. Because we are the county seat. We have the courthouse. And so naturally you'd expect a lot of law offices.
Yeah. Law offices and medical. That sounds like a center of South Carolina to me.
Yep.
That's what the Midlands is all about, government and medicine to me. It used to be about mills, though, and a lot of people don't talk that much about this area of South Carolina cuisine. We really focus on that Appalachian cuisine up in the upstate, and we focus on, of course, the low country cuisine, but I've written a little bit about this. A colleague, Robert Moss, really turned me on to the idea of this region as its own distinct set of foodways, and you're right in the heart of it here, making onion sausage.
Yeah, there were a lot of Germans that settled this area. And like my dad said, Germans put onions in everything. So that's why you have onion sausage. If you go a few miles away from here, you'll never find onion sausage. It just doesn't exist in other parts of the country.
Are you the only people selling it in this area?
Oh, no, there are quite a few people still that are making onion sausage in this area. But it is kind of unique to this Dutch Fork, Lexington area, that was settled by Germans.
I love a nerd etymology when it comes to food, so I want to get into it. I know I have a lot of chefs and culinary professionals who listen, and they're going to be like, what is onion sausage? So I want to get into it. First, I'm quite aware it's a fresh sausage, and it's a link sausage, right?
Mostly it's sold to link. You can buy it in bulk also if you wanted to make a casserole or use it as a stuffing for your turkey or something like that in, your dressing or whatever. People might buy that. Or, say, a spaghetti sauce or toppings for your pizza. There's lots of things you can do.
I think it would make an amazing pizza.
Yes,
I really
would,
do.
yes.
Yeah. I might have to do that.
We also make an Italian sausage for that as well.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. And so it's pork. Mm-hmm. It's a pork sausage. Does it have any other ingredients besides pork and onion?
I like to say there's not nearly as much that goes into it as you might think. It's all fresh, lean pork and no fillers, no byproducts. There's no preservatives, nothing like that. It's all kind of like the meat you would make a ham sandwich out of. Mm-hmm. But, it's, without divulging too much of the family secret, it's salt, pepper, coriander, sage.
So some of that classic sausage seasoning, that classic Southern sausage seasoning.
Right.
I should say that there are sausages all over the world, right? And this is just this version.
And when we use our onions in it, we can make it without onions as well, but we use fresh whole onions. We chop them up and grind them in with the meat. Same with the garlic. We don't ever use a powdered garlic or anything like that. It's all, the real deal.
Mm-hmm. I'm sitting here inside, Southern Fork listeners, an old country store across the street from the old cotton mill. And change has really come to this area. Not only is the cotton mill a mix of, stores and stuff, just like many cotton mills are across the South, you're sitting in a place that once the pandemic hit, you've never allowed anybody in to shop, right?
That is true. We quit letting people in about 3 years ago. and we do drive-through window service only right now.
And I think it's amazing. You can drive through for some very specific onion sausage, pimento cheese, local honey, some
local stone ground grits.
Those are all good. They're all going home with me today. You know, I think you've given us a clue by saying that your dad, you know, did the dope wagon, which is fascinating. There has been a connection of your family serving the mill community, correct?
The mill was built in the late 1890s, and Mr. Taylor had a store here. And it was a little wooden store, and my dad worked for him as a boy. In about the early 1930s, about 1935, the pond dam broke, and it washed Mr. Taylor's store away.
Which is across the street from us.
Right across the street. A great big, like a 40-acre pond over there. And it flooded and washed the building away, and he rebuilt in this exact same spot. So after World War II, my dad came over and he bought the place from Taylor, and he ran it and started in 1945. He ran it the rest of his life. And then I took over probably in the mid-90s, and I've been running it since then.
So how did this country store that at one time sold a little bit of everything really become known for onion sausage?
Well, when I was a child, there were about 16 mom and pop grocery stores in the 1 square mile that was Lexington. That was the incorporated area of Lexington. And there were that many little mom and pop stores, and pretty much all of them made some form of sausage. It was a very popular staple to the diet here in this area. And so everybody did it. Some of them, it was just a way to get rid of their scrap pork when they did their trimmings from their pork chops. But we took it a little different approach. We didn't use any trimmings. We used, you know, hams and shoulders and things like that, because we were setting out to make sausage, not to just get rid of our scraps.
Right.
And the recipe actually came from my dad's mom, my grandmother. She invented the recipe, I suppose. And
or adapted it from probably.
Right. But with her, it was just a pinch of this and a pinch of that. So my dad had to quantify everything. He started weighing the stuff out, you know, all the ingredients out to the 100th of a pound. And so I've just stuck with that recipe. And people say, well, why don't you put preservatives in it? And, well, they didn't have preservatives back then. It wasn't something that you did. So we just never saw the need to start.
So is it a natural casing?
Yes, it is.
And then that is a very specific thing for meat lovers, natural casings. That means you can eat it. And
no collagen. No.
Right. And it's also whole animal cookery. You're using part of that whole animal. But it's an interesting thing to think about this one specific sausage keeping y'all on the map.
Yes. There's been a lot of interest in it over the years. I've had several different newspaper articles and magazines have interviewed about it.
And a rando podcaster with a chopstick mic knocking on your door, right?
That's right.
Do you still enjoy it?
Enjoy it. Well, it's something I started doing when I was about 12 or 13 years old.
Do you still eat it, though?
I do eat it, yes. Not as much as a lot of people might think. Sometimes I just have to taste it just to make sure I've got everything right.
Right.
You have to sample it.
You also have somebody working with you who's been here for 10 years, right?
Yeah, he has. He's been with me a good while now. Bryant, sure.
Yeah, and he's making the sausage. And so you make somewhere between 40 and 60 pounds a week, depending, just in the normal
I would say it's more than that. He was quoting you a number for just a restaurant that was buying that much per week. The drive-through window over there, it takes in more than that. So,
it does.
Yeah. It really increases quite a bit at Christmas time.
Well, that was going to be my next thing. That was going to be your next question. Yeah. So Christmas time, and I know we're sitting here and we're coming up on Memorial Day. There's a reason for that, ladies and gentlemen. I know Christmas time is the traditional time in Lexington County to enjoy this onion sausage.
It is a family tradition. I had a guy tell me one day, my boys wouldn't know that it was Christmas if we didn't have Rhoten's country sausage for Christmas morning. You know, it's just a family tradition.
And you were just telling me off mic that there's a local company that gives away 5-pound boxes of them to employees as Christmas gifts. So we definitely kick it up in here.
Yeah. It increases dramatically at Christmas time. Parties and things too, because you can actually make a nice little hors d'oeuvre We sell a Pete's praline sauce that's made down in Augusta. You just cut your link sausage into little medallions, and you pour that Pete's praline mustard glaze over it, and people come by at the parties, and they get their little toothpicks, and they grab a piece, and they love it. They just go crazy over it.
Yes, you've got that party set happening as well, too, right? Yeah, that kind of reminds me of those little tiny hot dog sausage link things that people cook in grape jelly in a tiny crock pot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I've seen that.
If you haven't heard about this, Southern Fork listeners, there's a whole subset of jelly kind of hors d'oeuvre things in the South, right?
Yes, yes.
I know some of you are like, what is happening? But, it's that sweet and salty and a little spicy, a little garlic. It's a great combo. But I'm talking to you today because we're about to fire up some grills. It's about to be grilling season.
Oh, yeah.
How do these work on a grill?
Fantastic. The link sausage, you can put a coil of it down on the grill and let it cook for a little slow. You don't want to rush it. And then you flip it over and do a little more, and then just cut the links however long you want it for, like a sausage dog or something like that. And great for football tailgating, in the fall.
Yeah. And that is an important part when we're talking about cooking sausage. It will seize up. It will get really tough if you don't cook it slowly, correct?
It can, yes. And I always suggest you use a meat thermometer and make sure you get it to 160 inside, and, poke it through the end of the sausage, not through the side, because then you let the juice out. You want it to remain juicy inside.
Okay.
And don't overcook it. People are afraid of, like chicken, they tend to overcook sometimes, and it just dries it out. But if you get your, temperature right, you got no fears.
Yeah. And I've never really thought about that. It is true, though, when you poke a link sausage that it's letting all those juices out.
Right. You want to keep that sealed so it stays juicy inside.
Yeah, so you poke that
So you run your little meat thermometer in through the end of the sausage lengthwise.
Yeah, we're not going to go too deep into that this morning, Wes.
Okay.
We get the idea.
All right.
It's a little catheter move, right?
I suppose so. I never thought of that now.
Now you can't unthink it. You'll never be able to
now.
Well, being here since you were 12 or 13 and being in this area, what has kept you in this business and actually still in the region?
Actually, it's just public demand, because I did try to close one time. I rented the store out, but I had the kitchen back here, and people came by and they started going, well, where's the sausage? And so the people that were trying to run a business out front, they said, well, do you mind just making some and we'll sell it here? We had people lined up out the building, when they thought we were closing for good. They were lined up all the way around the building.
They were stocking those chest freezers up, right?
They were. They were kind of upset with me for not telling them where I was going out of business. So we came back in and took over again.
Mm-hmm. And you also make pimento cheese.
Actually, I don't make that pimento cheese. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's made at DePrada's Deli downtown on Pickens Street.
Okay, so you work with another thing. But,
right.
I mean, sausage and
but
pimento cheese.
I do that for people's convenience, because they don't like having to drive all the way into Columbia just to get pimento cheese, but it is the best pimento cheese around. So if you want another southern thing to go and interview those people, you might want to talk to them.
Well, and that's why I brought this up. So there is some controversy. I'm not going to lie about that. But from what we can tell, that pimento cheese, this ubiquitous, beautiful, wonderful cheese spread, was created right here in the Midlands, created in the Columbia region.
I don't doubt that a bit.
I've never seen a place that puts it on so much stuff. And there's a whole amount of burgers. If you haven't had a pimento cheese burger.
Put it on a baked potato.
Yes, put it on a baked potato. That is a good idea. I do like a grilled pimento cheese every now and then. I'm more than that. I need a nap. But I can see some good hot dog buns, some good bratwurst buns, grilling up some onion sausage and slathering a bit of pimento cheese on top there. That wouldn't be sacrilegious, right?
No, I've never put any in the sausage, but yeah. I'll think about that.
If somebody like me, who's obviously not from this area, asked you how to define Lexington and that small town feel that you're still a part of, How would you explain it? Because you travel and you go around a lot. And you know how it's special.
Right. Well, when I was young, and I have been here a long time, I knew everybody in town. I couldn't get away with anything. As soon as I was riding my bicycle out in the street, somebody would stop by the store here and tell my dad, I saw Wesley driving his bike in the street, So it was kind of like being Opie and on Andy and Mayberry.
Did you have red hair?
No, I didn't. I had blonde hair.
Okay.
Yeah. But, it was a small town atmosphere, and everybody knew everybody. So I guess that's the point of it. It's not quite that way now. It's grown so much, but there are still a lot of the same old regular people coming in.
Well, the regular people have forced you to remain open.
They have. They would threaten me if I...
Yeah, you'd have to start having classes, how to make the sausage, right?
Maybe so.
You've made it work, and I think a lot of places like this didn't quite make it through the pandemic. They had a bumpy ride, and many of them didn't survive. So I have to ask you now, what's making you hungry? What's next for you? And this onion sausage?
Well, what's making me hungry? That's an interesting question. I like everything.
Yeah. Do you see this legacy continuing? Do you see keeping the sausage happening here in Lexington?
For the near future, for sure. I don't know who will carry it on after I'm gone, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to some of your favorite foods in a minute. So we'll have time to have you answer that question about what's making you hungry, especially right now. As I'm sitting here in the middle of a country store talking about pimento cheese and sausage, I'm getting kind of hungry myself. What is one aspect of this job that literally you were born into, that you've been working in certain ways since you were a teenager, that really meshes like a puzzle piece with an aspect of your natural personality?
That is a much easier question. That is being your own boss. I was never good at taking orders from other people. I'd have never made it in the military.
Like your dad.
Right. My dad, yes. He had quite a storied career in the military. No, I like doing things my way, and I don't like taking orders from other people. So it fits real well for me to be the boss here.
Yeah. Now, was that window always, you had to create the drive-thru window?
Yeah, it was just a small window, and I enlarged it, made it come down to level where a car could pull up to it. And so, yeah, I created that.
So that's one of your, I'm my own boss and I'm going to do this thing.
Right. Well, we've survived earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods. We never had a fire, thank God, but we've survived everything, even COVID. So pandemics, recessions, depressions, we've been through it all.
We hadn't even talked about the earthquakes, but this is an earthquake-prone area.
It is.
There was one this week.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Up in Columbia.
Okay.
Or over in Columbia. I'm not sure of where we are on the map exactly.
We are exactly 12 miles west of the State House.
12 miles west of the State House.
In fact, the creek out there is called 12 Mile Creek because that's the way they used to measure their distance out from the State House. 12 miles, exactly.
Excellent. Well, I'm grateful for Siri. She gets me where I need to go. But I have a decent sense of direction. I'm very familiar with the State House. It's on my running route. Mm-hmm. So I'm right down there.
Nice place.
It is. Yeah. It's a weird place. It's always something going on those steps.
Right.
Fascinating to run by. But is there anything keeping you up at night, Wes?
I am a world-class sleeper.
I don't
worry about things that I can't change. I do the best I can, and I sleep well at night.
Well, good. I'm making up for us because I worry.
No.
Yeah.
I can't for all that.
I know that's what everybody says, but, just talk to my brain at 2 a.m. It's usually 3 a.m. Last night it was 1, 2, and 3 a.m. All right. Well, we're down to the question here, and this is a question that I'm thrilled to be able to reserve just for Southern Fork guests, and this is my magic picnic basket question. And so this is a special question, really, where the listeners really want to know people through food. We like to imagine what you like as well, and it's great to get to know you a little bit from some of your favorite dishes. So with this magic picnic basket, I can virtually time travel. I can go back and ask anybody to make one more bite of something you would love. I can cook a little bit. I do actually have the pimento cheese recipe on simplyrecipes.com. So I am known for some pimento cheese out there.
Awesome.
Although I'm not going to compete with,
DePradas.
No, DePradas. No. And I can source for you. So I'd love to put some things in that basket that really bring you life. Like when I bring this to you, I know you enjoy good food and hanging out. So there's got to be something that's just pinging you like, yeah, that's what I want today.
Well, one of our big crowd pleasers when we have parties is a Beaufort stew. And of course, we use our sausage in it. Mm-hmm. Just shrimp, corn, potatoes, and sausage. Okay. And you boil that all in the pot, and that's some fine eating right there.
Well, and that's otherwise known as a frogmore stew. But you're calling it a Beaufort stew.
Beaufort stew, yes. That's what we call it.
I love that. See, that's why I'm a nerd. I love this food nerd. Just changing these little terms make me very happy. Is there anything else at that frogmore stew? Do you like certain beverages with it? Do you have certain desserts?
Well, banana pudding is always a favorite Southern type dessert, I think. So that's one of our favorites.
And it's really hard to have a single serving banana pudding.
It is.
You got to share.
Why would you? I mean, I don't.
I know. Well, I cook for myself and I also cook for other people, but I always have to wait for banana pudding or a large cake when there's other people around, because otherwise I'm going to eat that banana pudding for a week.
And if you're having Thanksgiving dinner and you're not having deviled eggs, don't even invite me, because, there's no point in coming.
There's no point. I'm sorry, Wes. I mean, we're thankful for you and all, but if you don't have deviled eggs, we can't do it.
That's right.
Well, if people want to learn more about Rhoten's Country sausage, you can go to thesouthernfork.com. It is delicious. I'm actually mad that I didn't bring my cooler, but since I'm only 12 miles from the State House, I'm fine driving home in my air-conditioned car.
There you go.
But you can go to thesouthernfork.com. There will be links there as well as images, so you can see the face behind the voice. If you like what you hear, I promise you, I'm always on the hunt, investigating. I'm excited to let you know about some of the great culinary stories in the South, and sometimes they include sausage through a drive-thru window. So thanks so much for letting me come into the secret clothes store today to record with you and turn off all the coolers. So I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Talking with My Mouth Full. I'd like to dedicate this episode today to Chef Rhett Elliott, who passed away late last year. And he was the former chef of the Warmouth in Columbia, South Carolina, and had cooked for years before that in some of the kitchens in Charleston, South Carolina. He was a very proud Midlands boy. Midlands is the region, the overall region that encompasses the Dutch Fork. So you have in South Carolina, the upstate, the Midlands, and the Low Country. And Rhett really taught me a lot about the foodways of this region. He was a great expert source for me, very enthusiastic about this particular region's foodways. And it was he who turned me on to the onion sausage, which, by the way, is so delicious. And Rhett used to put it in his chicken bog, which is a whole other conversation, but I'll basically tell you it's a chicken and rice dish derived from the Low Country Perlo, which is also another chicken and rice dish. There are chicken and rice dishes in a lot of regions in the world. So chicken bog is the Midlands and the PD version of their chicken and rice, and it also included a sausage many times. So Rhett's sausage was onion sausage. These little subtleties like this were important to him. He really wanted to showcase this region, and I'm glad I knew him. Rhett, this episode is for you. I hope onion sausage lives on long past me and the chopstick mics. So thanks for teaching me what you did. And for those of you that are listening, I will be right here next week with another culinary conversation.
You've been listening to The Southern Fork. I can't wait to bring you more culinary conversations, but in the meantime, I have one question. Are you gonna eat all that?